I started leaning up. Over time, I lost 60 pounds because of the way I was eating, exercising, the way I was being, mindset. Again.
And what are the two things that you changed in your eating?
I went from grains to greens, eliminated all grains, all processed food, all grains, went to greens. And I started eating more fat, more healthy fat, because I was trying to lose weight by eating no fat, and that didn't work because the body needs fat.
I'm Art Blanchford, and this is Life in Transition, a podcast about making the most of the changes we're given. As a married father of 3 teenagers, a longtime global business executive and adventurer, I've been through hundreds of transitions in my life. Many have been difficult, but all have led to a depth and richness I could never have imagined. You'll get to hear all about them on this podcast so that together we can create more love and joy in our lives, no matter what transitions we are going through. Welcome to another episode of Life in Transition podcast. I'm really excited to have my new friend with me, James R. Elliott, who is a speaker, author, NLP trainer, performance coach, and leadership trainer, as has been seen on many business and news outlets, including NBC and ABC. So James, hearty welcome to the Life in Transition podcast. Really glad to have you here.
Thanks, my friend. Appreciate you, Art, and glad to be here with you as well.
Jumping right in, James, I wonder, and I think about, like, you have had a very interesting life. And been through a lot of different transitions, and that's why it's been inspired me to want to have you on this podcast. What is one or two of the transitions that you feel have been most impactful in your life, or most important, maybe most difficult, but the things that have given your life the most meaning and flavor that it has now? What's one that comes up for you when I ask you those questions?
That's a good question. I suppose there'd be two, honestly, two different things. One would be my transition and growth from being a corporate man, a corporate career, working with companies like IBM, Novell, and Lenovo. And the other one would be really me getting after my shell and breaking through the protective barriers, if we will, from being picked on, bullied as a kid, having a lot of health issues, including obesity. I was clinically obese when I was younger, and just with all the anxiety and depression that went along with the obesity, but also from the trauma, being bullied, picked on so much as well. It was a really interesting. Like you said, I've had a really interesting life. I've done some amazing things. I've had some not so amazing things happen to me. Although it's been all growth, nothing but growth, and not comfortable growth. Although growth is never comfortable. Whether it's growth is never getting laid off from IBM and Lenovo. Not comfortable, but huge growth. And it's like the universe kicking our butts and saying, "You're not listening, so we're gonna show you level 10, and you're gonna listen this time. You're gonna hear the message this time."
So which of those, and you're absolutely right, growth is never comfortable. I was just writing that in a chapter in the book that I'm about to release about growth is, it's comfort is good, but only really has to recover from growth.
Yeah, correct.
I have a safe place to recover from growth, and growth is never comfortable, but it brings us alive. It brings us fully alive.
Correct.
Right?
It is. And growth is, and like, as you put, I wrote in my book too, it's like growth and comfort, they're not buddy. They don't hang out at the bar together or anything like that. They don't put drinking or skiing together. Growth and comfort are usually mutually exclusive, although I'll caveat it. The reason is I've been really finding a way these days to really flow, I suppose I'll say, flow and just let things go and just see where the river takes me, the river of life, if you will. See where the river takes me. Sometimes it's a calm tide pool, sometimes it's rapid, sometimes it's a waterfall. And so with that metaphor, it's also realizing that life has, and we consciously know that life has ups and downs and all arounds, but it's really embodying the ability to, okay, this is happening. I'm going to be calm, because when I'm calm, I can think the best, I can act the best, I'm the most efficient, versus we're on this fight and flight. People are in all day long, racing through traffic to work. And, it's like the person's in front of you is driving slow. Don't they know I'm in a hurry? Do they not know I'm in a hurry? Why are they driving so slow? But rushing around in this pace of life, stressed, and most people are burnt out and overwhelmed. And I want to help change that. And make people wildly successful and create high performance people. And one of the ways is, to your point, embrace the discomfort and seek discomfort. Run towards the gunfire, if you will. Seek
right. Run toward the fear. Run, yeah. And I think that, and we're getting a little bit off on the side here, but
yes,
growth and comfort, they do have a symbiotic relationship. It's like when I'm training for an athletic event, the rest day is the most important day of the training, but it's only in the important day because of the training.
Correct.
So I think that the comfort to me is like the rest day. You need to have a safe place to come back to where you can relax and chill and be loved and just, as this title of the song says, quit holding on and just be held for a little bit, right?
Sure.
But it's because of the experience you have in growth. If you just stay in that comfort zone, if you never go out for growth, then you're just depression and
exactly. It's like living in a war zone. You need that. And to your point, we up level, and then it is more comfortable, quote unquote. And then we go through growth, and it's, oh my God. And then okay, I'm getting used to this. I'm figuring out, okay, well, that next level. And then, oh my God, it's crazy. And then, okay, well, now I'm used to this. So it's
right.
These different levels which helped elevate us. So my invitation to people is just to really go with it and flow with it. And yes, seek the discomfort, but also do your best to be at peace with the discomfort, with the all the things, and be like, and just think to yourself, okay, well, the too shall pass, whether it's good, whether it's bad, this too shall pass.
All right.
And ride it without, because stressed, anxious, burnout, frustrated, fearful state, that doesn't help you be courageous or creative or efficient or properly operating, and it kills us. It burns us out and destroys our energy levels. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So if we come all the way back to these transitions, exactly. So you had two that I think are really relevant with a lot of people: health issues and bullying issues, sort of growing up.
Yeah.
And then also the corporate transition.
Yeah.
Which one is resonating with you most right now, James? Which one would you like to dig into?
I think let's talk about the bullying and the health. The reason being is the corporate transition was great, and it kicked my butt to do something I know I needed to do. And yes, becoming an entrepreneur has made me grow immensely. Although it was the bullying and the health issues that caused a lot of problems, including the people pleasing, and no one resonates with a people pleaser, a spineless jellyfish. So that was my biggest, and I think we can contribute and talk a lot about that. And if you want to come back to corporate, we can, but I think that will give people a lot of growth and a lot of value here, talking about that journey.
That's great. And I appreciate it, because I think that's, there's a lot of things in there, and it resonates with me. I know it resonates with my kids, and it probably resonates with a lot of people. So
no kidding.
So tell me a little bit about that story. Like, what was that like? So you were, being bullied, you're overweight, and what was that like? And then what was the key to transformation for you? What was the key to transition out of that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it was interesting. I was a skinny kid, always a skinny kid, small kid. And I think partly that caused some, because and then I got heavier, but partly it was interesting being a skinny kid and just, again, not having boundaries. I was a nice kid, and I guess too much of a nice guy, happy-go-lucky kid. And people started picking on me, I guess, as the scapegoat of the school. I mean, everyone wants to push someone. It's like when you're drowning, you push someone down to feel better about yourself. And so it became almost like went around the school like a virus, and I became the school loser for zero reason. And it was interesting that people would pick on me for anything. And I would do my best to be as vanilla and as like other people, and just killing any sense of uniqueness and I see this all the time as adults, right? But killing any sense of uniqueness in myself and in my gifts, anything like this, just being as plain and as normal and as like other people as I could, just so I wouldn't get bullied. And which didn't work. They would always find things to bully me about. And
so that's really interesting. So just to emphasize on that point a little bit, you were becoming a people pleaser in a sense. Like, you didn't want to be bullied, so you were being as vanilla as possible.
Yeah. And I was a nice guy. I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, stop being yourself in order to try to be not bullied, and yet you still bullied anyway. So now you've lost, not only you're still being bullied and you don't have friends, you've also lost yourself.
Correct.
As well.
Correct. Wow. Exactly. And I think so many people, it was a horrible place to be, just anxiety, depression, you name it. And then, so the weight started coming on, because eating and Coca-Cola and junk food and crackers and cookies. Well, of course, food is the biggest drug there is. I don't care what anyone says. Food is the biggest drug there is, and the most addictive too, I think. And I mean, look at the obesity epidemic.
Absolutely.
right? I think the biggest drug there is. And so it became heavier and heavier and heavier. And it was interesting when sometimes when people would punch me or hit me, because I've had my head put through glass windows, I've been on the ground, people kicking me and all kinds of stuff. And it was like, all right. But I noticed the fatter I was getting fatter and fatter, and it hurt less. When they hit me, it hurt less. So I'm like, maybe I'm onto something here. So I became bigger and bigger, bigger, fatter and fatter, and it was hurting less. And then
So eating was an emotional comfort, but also a physical comfort as well from
got
when
it.
you would take the beatings, and they hurt less because you're heavier. Not more
Exactly.
padding.
Exactly. And then I did start, and interestingly enough, I did start at that, and then the bullying came because of James is fat, Elliott's fat, James is fat, and then they would make fun. I had man boobs, and then now they're pecs. I work out,
Right.
but yeah, they all Elliott has man boobs or whatever. And again, any excuse to pick on people. I think it was a very cliquey school as well, but any excuse to pick on. And so I started exercising and working out. I thought, all right, they're picking on me anyways. I'm going to get.
And how old were you, Elliott, when you started working out, when you had this first, like, I'm going to
This
start
is,
working out?
yeah, my goodness. This was probably, the bullying started probably when I was like, say 10, and not 9 or 10. The working out started probably when I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
And
So you're still
I was,
in high school.
yeah, correct. Still high school.
Okay.
So I started working out, and I became like a monster. I was obese clinically, but also very strong. I was about 236 pounds. And I thought, okay, the bigger I get, I want to be big. I want to be like these massive, massive guys. And I thought, okay, then they're going to stop bullying me. If I'm this massive guy, no one's going to mess with me. Well, not exactly. Because again, I think it's all mindset, and people knew I wouldn't do anything. I was just massive. I could lift so much weight, but they knew I wasn't going to do anything. So again, the bullying continued.
Wow.
Yeah, a little less physical, because some people were like, all right, well, just in case,
Right.
I don't. But
Some
again,
risk here, yeah.
exactly. But it still happened, and the verbal bullying didn't stop. It probably got worse. And so again, it was now realizing it was the mindset, right? So again, getting bigger and bigger, bigger, and I was this tank, this machine, and still not happy because I wasn't attracting the girls I wanted, because I guess they didn't want this big massive machine. They wanted a fit guy. So that was interesting. I'm like, I'm doing something wrong, and then the bullying kept on, the picking on kept on. So at that point, years later, I realized it must be, if it's not my body, it must be my mind. And I had realized that I had killed all my gifts and had been like as vanilla and as normal as possible. And it was heartbreaking. I wasn't even being me. I was being this
So
yes
even in
man.
this big body, even in that you were strong now, you're still obese, but you're really strong, but you're still not being true to yourself. You still probably don't even really know who you are. I mean,
Correct. Yeah, you're exactly right. I didn't know who I am, who's the man I am, what do I want, why is this going on? So a lot of the depression came, a lot of the suicidal thoughts came, because to your point, it's like, why is this happening? Why are people doing this to me? Why the hell am I here? And what's my point? What am I doing? And it continued almost as a theme until one day I realized, probably in my early 20s, I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. I'm not getting the dates I want. People are bugging me and bullying me. I'm not getting the jobs I want as well. And so I sought out a coach. And her name was Chantal, my first coach, Chantal.
And how old were you at this point?
At this point, I was about 2021 at this point.
Okay.
And I had done
were you in
work.
university at that point, or were you?
I was at university at that point. Yeah, I was in university. And so really met this coach, and she said, I can make a big difference in your life. And she sure did, made a big, big difference. And again, helped me understand that, yes, it was me and my mindset, and really by people pleasing, you're pleasing no one, including yourself, by being this spineless jellyfish, this yes man, people pleaser. And I guess.
How did she help you to see that? Like, what was the tipping point? Right. So there was a point where you were trying stuff wasn't working. And then she helped you a lot. And you said, she helped me to see that. What was the switch? What was the connection?
I suppose the switch was really looking back at my life, at what's not working, and almost from a third person perspective. It's like, okay, let's look at James let's look at James Elliott and his life and all that stuff leading up to now. What's not working? What did I do? What did I not do? I mean, what did I not do? I didn't stand up for myself. Whether verbally or physically or whatever, I didn't stand up for myself. And, and it was like, I wasn't being me. And she's like, were people picking on you when you're being, this happy-go-lucky little boy that just, loved life and did what he wanted? I said, yeah. And so she said, well, were people also picking on you when you tried to be like everyone else? I said, yes. So we looked at my life. I'm like, people are gonna hate on us and pick on us and bully us and whatever, whether it's in a corporate environment, whether it's personal, friends, family, relationship, anything out there in the real world. People, we need to have boundaries. I learned, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm not standing up for myself, and that's people pick on people.
So they can feel that energy that you don't have any boundaries, that it's soft. They come near you, they can feel that physically energy that there's nothing there, and then they are attracted to bully and push and lift themselves up by putting somebody else down a little bit.
Exactly. They feel better by pushing someone down, or robbing them from them, or stealing from them, or hurting them, or manipulating them, or whatever. Exactly, because the vibe is, well, I'm not going to do anything. Please, don't hurt me, please. Please.
So the key to you to start to make this transition from your first coach was about making boundaries, like
Correct.
standing up for yourself and saying, what am I about? What am I willing to put up with? What am I not willing to put up with? What am I about?
Yeah, and taking a stand. It's like, what do you stand for? What do you not stand? And so I stand for this. I don't stand for that. So that was the first thing, is like, I'm going to stand for this. I'm going to stand. Who is the man I want to be?
What were some of those things that you stood for? What were some of those boundaries that you like? Do you remember one or two that were critical or key that you were like, I made this point, that I shifted from this specific mindset to this?
I think it was a lot of like, I'm not letting anyone pick on me anymore. Whether it's physically, whether it's at work or play, physically in relationship, physically, because I had some interesting people I dated as well. So, but it was all a theme. It was just all a big theme in life. It was because of the mindset, and I'll get to that in a second. Mindset, who I was attracting into my life as well. And to your point, that vibe, that energy that goes out, that people pick up on. Okay, there's someone we can prey on, someone we can't. Real quick, there's been a lot of research. People that talk to criminals and ex-cons, and they interview them. Who would this crowd, out of these videos, who would you mug? Who would you not mug? And the people walking tall with purpose, confidence. They're like, no, it would be too much work, or he might fight back, or she might fight back. Versus the people that were like, look like they're looking around and scared, and please don't hurt me. But yeah, I would mug them, or I would attack them, because it's way easier. Not to get too off track, but it is interesting.
Yeah, no, I've heard the same things. Absolutely. So what was the key? Like you said, that I decided, like, what was the statement, or what was the switch inside your head to set these boundaries to be? I mean, there's lots of things coming into mind, but I'm curious about your story and what it is. Like, what is it that you weren't going to put up with anymore? What were some of the boundaries that you set for yourself? Or was it more just about loving yourself or respecting yourself? But what were the things that, like, and I know it doesn't happen overnight. Everything takes time but there still are tipping points where you're going in one direction, and now all of a sudden, maybe it's only 1 degree, but you're going in a different direction.
Exactly. Which will take you far. Yeah, 1 degree off, you're going to go to New York or Honolulu. So exactly.
Right. Eventually. Right.
Yeah,
exactly. So what are some of those things in your own mind where you said, this is my,
Well, a lot of it, a good question. A lot of it was really deciding, and people, change can take a while. Like, change can happen in an instant with a decision too. Like, this is what I'm standing for. I don't stand for that anymore. So just deciding to take a stand and love who I am. Now, that came with a lot of the tools. That's why one of the reasons I teach things like NLP and a lot of the other tools. It's a very, very powerful tool set. It's about results and results-based coaching versus let's talk about the problem. It's results-based coaching. Let's remove the problem and allowing me to be more confident, like myself more, love who I am, and be able to stand up and gain that self-worth back. Most people's problems come down to a lack of worthiness, or lack of a sense of worthiness. Really, honestly, is if you drill down, and some people fight me on this, but I'll argue it all day long. It's a lack of whatever it is, whether it's drugs or addictions or relationships, who we're attracting, what we do, what we don't do, self-sabotage, or again, getting bullied or picked on. It's all, I think, going down to that deep sense of worthiness. So Chantel, my coach, helped me with that too, with, again, NLP and some really powerful tools to gain that sense of worthiness, which was a secondary pillar in my decision and taking a stance and putting a stake in the ground, saying, no more. From today on, I have boundaries. I'm not putting up with this crap anymore, and no longer am I a spineless jellyfish, which no one likes anyways. People don't like us. People like people who shout out and from the rooftops a message, and not everyone likes them, and they know not everyone will ever like us, or you.
Exactly.
That's what you want. You want polarized audience versus, all right, the spineless, lukewarm jellyfish. People thought I was okay. Oh yeah, James Elliott, he's all right, but then he got bullied. But no one really liked me because I was that spineless.
So the main point then, if I catch it, is that you had started to get a sense, with the help from your coach and NLP, of your worthiness, of your innate worthiness, of your who you are as a human being deserves respect first from yourself and then from everybody else.
Correct. Exactly. And then
And then
letting
everything
go of
builds
those.
on that. But that was the first tipping point, is to recognize your own innate worthiness.
Exactly. And with that, exactly. And removing the limiting beliefs about any lack of worthiness or anything, any doubt. And to your point, that helped me put a stronger stake in this stand and have stronger, because we can create boundaries. Anyone can create boundaries or put a stake, or I decide this and that. I think it's a sense of worthiness that backs that up. And it's like, if someone tries to push, it's like, no, versus the boundaries that have no teeth, for example, or don't do that. And then people do it and you don't do anything. The sense of worthiness backed up that boundary, that pillar, if you will, that helped me a lot. So it made a big difference, actually, in the power of those boundaries, and of even being able to speak out and speak up, which was a huge part of it. And say no, or say this is what I need, or say that's not happening anymore. That stops now. Whatever it was. Obviously correct. That the big thing was the sense of working on the sense of worthiness, which is a big part of my work. It's a big thing I talk about in my book, because it drives everything, positive and negative, when you really drill down. And that's why I love NLP, results-based versus let's talk about the problem. We'll talk about it more and talk more about it. Don't think of a blue tree. What color is your tree?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Now that's brings up a lot of stuff. So you had this shift starting when you're around 20, 21, you're in university, you have this shift about, I'm worthy. And because I'm worthy, I'm going to start having standards for myself.
Correct.
Standards about how other people treat me as well.
True. Exactly.
And then take us forward. What transitioned for you from there, and how did that shift into the successful, confident guy we see maybe a couple decades later in front of us today?
Right on, brother. Thank you. And I like that you said boundaries and standards with others, but also myself. And because my eating got better, I started leaning up. Over time, I lost 60 pounds because of the way I was eating, exercising, the way I was being, mindset. Again.
And what are the two things that you changed in your eating? Just for our listeners, if someone's really struggling with eating, what are just the two things that you felt were the most useful in changing your eating, James?
I suppose I went from grains to greens, eliminated all grains, all processed food, all grains, went to greens. And I started eating more fat, more healthy fat, because I was trying to lose weight by eating no fat, and that didn't work because the body needs fat. Right. So I guess that is, and then if I could tie in an important third one, it was by being very careful of food marketing and all this low fat nonsense, just eating clean, like cleaning unprocessed, like fruits, vegetables,
real
nuts, exactly, nut butters, and fruits, vegetables, protein, nuts, nut butter, and not processed protein, but like a steak or a chicken breast, preferably organic or wild pastured. Those are the biggest shifts as well with the weight. Now, here's an interesting story. If we have a second for it, about 30 pounds came off, 30 of the 60, so half came off when I shifted my eating. And then the rest, it was like, I still need to lose some weight. It was stuck. No matter what I did, I was like, I could do 45 minutes of HIIT training a day and working out and this and that and martial arts. And I stayed stuck. What I needed, and again, because I did some more work with my coach, I said, okay, I'm having some weight issues. I'm wondering if it could be related to mindset. She's like, it absolutely could be related. Long story short, the weight, of course, had protected me. The fat when people hit me, it didn't hurt as much.
Right.
And in fact, it was funny because when I took martial arts, you get hit or you fall. It does hurt a lot more without all the fat on you protecting you. It does hurt like hell.
Right.
But it was, again, doing that next iteration of work, helping my subconscious mind realize that I am safe. I am safe. I'm whole. I have boundaries. I'm adult. I can stand up for myself now. And having that subconscious mind, 95% of my brain, be like, okay, it's safe to lose the weight. And I find a lot of people have that block, whether it's some bullying or abuse or trauma, or heartbreak. I've known some people
they're not being attractive because you don't want to deal with people being attracted to you.
You got it, and all the stuff is that heartbreak or whatever. Exactly. So it's those deep seated things, and so again, we worked on that deep seated limiting beliefs against subconscious, and then I started losing weight. It just melted off me by doing nothing different other than eating healthy. And it was amazing.
Worked on those. What did you do? What did you do that made those, like you worked on those? I mean, I'm reading The Body Keeps the Score right now, right? Which is a great book if you haven't read it.
Yes.
And there's a lot in there about this. Exactly. But what did you do? What did you find worked for you to shift your mindset in order that you could let go of the weight that you no longer desired to hold on to it.
Well, exactly. So interesting. You mentioned, the body keeps a score too. I love that book. It's the body keeps a score. So it was looking at all the beliefs about, am I safe? Being safe, or fearful that I'm not safe, or that the fat will protect me, or that I'm unsafe. All these beliefs that were still there, actually needing, and like you said, it's a journey. We're never done till we're dead. So that the first breakthrough was massive, and then this was part of another breakthrough, again, with further confidence and further being myself. Also, again, it was more of a health breakthrough in that, okay, I am safe. We know that consciously, but it's only 5% of our brain. The 95 thought I was still unsafe, so it wouldn't let it go. So working on these limiting beliefs, using tools like NLP, timeline therapy, using a lot of these tools to rid myself of those developed beliefs, because they in a way were true. It does protect you in ways.
Yeah, no, that's something I think a lot of people don't realize, is these things that we feel like are these parts of us. If you look at Dr. Schwartz's work, or the things that were protecting us in the past, we feel like they're bad now, the critic or the scared one or whatever, but they all did serve us a purpose at that time, right? Toward survival, right? Toward making it through whatever the situation is. So there's a lot of honor we need to have. Those are not bad parts. Let's say it's just things that served us well then that haven't caught up to where we are now.
Correct. Exactly. Right? It's a part of us stuck in the past, or part of me feels this and part of me thinks that. Exactly. Or these limiting beliefs that we learn, these things we learn that becomes a belief. Whether it's your parents telling you something about, I don't know, money or health or food or whatever, whether we learn through failure or through bullying or trauma or abuse or whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it seemed like the first breakthrough was a physical health. Like I changed my eating and I dropped half the weight. But then the second one was emotional or mental health. Like I had to rewire my mind as well to let go of the rest of it, to know that I'd be safe. Because if your subconscious doesn't think you're going to be safe, it won't allow you to not eat or to exercise or whatever. It won't allow you to do the things that aren't going to let you be safe.
Correct. Yeah. I guess I call it the third breakthrough. The first one was those boundaries and the worthiness. But yeah, you're right. The third, in terms of, you're right, the emotional mindset is like, I am safe and I'm an adult. I'm able to do this. I don't need the weight. And then the cravings go, the desire to eat crappy food goes, and desire to eat healthier food. And so, yeah, I feel like an apple or whatever, chicken breast, versus I feel like cookies and crackers. And the cravings go away, which is really, really interesting when you do the inner work. So those are the three breakthroughs. Really, they're always continuing, and we're always evolving. I tell people our journey is lifelong. We're here to learn and then share it with others, teach others. We're here to share and learn. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's good stuff. I mean, it's still something I'm working on today, and one of the things that I've found that's so fascinating when I do this, I call parts therapy. If you take Richard Schwartz's work, when I talk to one of these parts of myself, whether it's a critic or it's a scared one or whatever, one of the things that is a very great, interesting question, I always ask it how old it is, how old this part is.
Correct.
And then I let it know. And then I ask it how old it thinks I am now. And it's a really powerful transition that goes on, because most of the time, I say it's a part, like this morning I was doing this and it was an 8-year-old part. Right. And then he thinks I'm 10. And then I say, hey, I'm actually 52, and it blows, and I'm safe, and I have this, and this is handled. And it really gives a lot of permission then from that other part to be able to change jobs from what it thinks it's doing to protect me, to realizing that it maybe doesn't have to have that role anymore. Maybe doesn't want to, but it's always had that,
Correct. And it's interesting because again, 95% of our brain is our subconscious or unconscious mind, and it will protect us. It will protect us. It will preserve the body.
Yeah.
It always has all these checks and balances. It'll preserve the body even in ways that hurt the body, like obesity, for example.
For sure.
It keeps us
in
safe.
The short term. Yeah.
In the short term, correct.
Safe. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. There's this inner part of us, or this hurt inner child, or this inner part of us that says, no. We need this weight because what if we get hit again, or what if this and that, or we need to act like a jerk to everyone because, well, that keeps people away, and we don't get close to you.
We don't have to deal with it.
So we don't get hurt. We don't exactly.
Yeah, and if the trauma has been deep enough, we may not even have any memory of it, or may not even know why we behave that way.
Correct.
Right. So that's really interesting. So this process, you started when you're around 2021, and this first round with your first coach of, losing the weight, getting fit, feeling your worthiness, eating better, changing your mind. How long did that, and you mentioned that you lost 60 pounds. How long did that process, that sort of first round of the work, first major round of the work, how long did that take?
That's a really, really good question. It came pretty quick. Like after the breakthroughs, the results came pretty quickly. There was some stages between those three breakthroughs. Although the breakthroughs itself, the results, excuse me, from the breakthroughs came pretty quickly, and within. I think within weeks, I started to see changes in either mindset, weight, how people are treating me, how the opportunities coming to me, what was happening in my own life, how I felt about myself. And that's why people say, oh, change can take so long. And it can, it doesn't have to. And again, I think change can happen in an instant with that decision, especially with some subconscious tools. There's many, but I love NLP and timeline therapy and even hypnosis. I think they're very powerful.
Right.
To your point, 95% of your brain wants to keep you safe, and it thinks it's doing a good job, thinks it's doing a great job. Or it once worked, like you said, it once worked, it's no longer working now. So, tying back to your question, it's been an evolution, but I would say within a matter of weeks, I was noticing big differences after each of those. I would say three major breakthroughs, and then I could talk about the fourth, probably latest breakthrough as well, which is the authenticity breakthrough as well, and just being completely authentic. And again, to your point, it's a work in progress. I'm still becoming more and more authentic, but it's just realizing.
I want to go to that one, and just to put those first three, like because it's something that everyone can relate to. How long did it take from when you started that when you're about 20 until you had lost the 60 pounds? Like, because that's just something everyone can relate to, and it's a milestone. Was that years or months or?
It was months. It was.
Wow.
So the first round of weight loss with the nutrition and exercise, I probably lasted about 30 pounds in about, it was pretty quick. It was probably 30 pounds in 3 or 4 months. I dropped pretty quickly. I wasn't just sitting on the couch hoping to lose weight. I was eating really well, working out, quite a lot. It wasn't as much as people think. So that was like literally within 3 to 4 months, I had lost 30 pounds. Then again, I got stuck. For a few years, and I tried different things to break it. Then after the second breakthrough, again, it just seemed the weight loss was it wasn't within it was probably a little bit slower, but it was automatic. I was working out, but it was not, I didn't have to work out harder or eat,
And that was the mindset breakthrough. Was some years later, but this mindset breakthrough. And then once the mindset changed, once the unconscious could let go of the feeling of not being safe, if I didn't carry this weight, then it just came off on its own over the next year.
Exactly. It was over probably, if I were to guess, maybe 6 months that time, but it was slow and steady, but it was constant consistency, 6
and
months.
Without additional effort.
Exactly. Just doing the eating healthy, living healthy, working and exercising. It wasn't going anywhere before, and this automatically just started melting away. I was pleased as punch, because I tried for probably 3 to 4 years to force it. All kinds of crazy eating regimes, crazy exercise regimes, and so it was a blessing to realize, wow, I can just be, I hesitate to use the word normal, but I don't have to kill myself in the gym.
Yeah, you don't have to struggle against it. You just make a shift, and then things become in a flowly way instead of a forced and a structure.
Exactly. It's like that book, Power versus Force. Let's create the power that we don't need force. You don't need to force anything.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. I love the way you talk about that, because something like I've used a lot of willpower and force to control my eating and always having cravings, but I exercise a ton, and it would be great to just not think about it. Right. And just to let my body take care of itself in an optimal place. Right.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why I love the tools, and that's why I became a coach and then now a trainer, and that's why I use these tools. Because to your point, we don't have to force things, whether it's work or money or clients or health or whatever it is. We don't have to force this stuff, because it's exhausting and it burns out. And that's why I say one of the things I teach people to do is become more successful, make more money, have more fulfillment, purpose, peace, and fun, the other F word, without burnout and overwhelm, because you don't have to force and push so hard. I'm not a fan of the hustle culture. Yes, we need to take action. Yes, we need to work.
Sure.
But the hustle culture can quickly burn you out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't sound like a lot of fun either. 100 calls a day, working, 18 hours a day. That's no fun. That's not what I'm here for anyway.
Yeah, no, not me either. I mean, I worked that way for a while, and
guilty as charged.
12-step recovery and Workaholics Anonymous has been a huge thing for me, actually. In the last 4 years, 3.5 years, I've been very active with that and run through the 12 steps, and I'm very active still today, because it's work is it can just be another drug and addiction that you talked about earlier.
Exactly correct.
I mean, it looks good. It's rewarded in America. You get a lot of money. You get a lot of professional recognition, maybe if you're good at it, but it doesn't mean it's healthy.
True. Exactly. You get
Right?
burnt out, and you often lose all
Yeah.
that money, or the money stops, or you
Yeah.
use other vices, or
You lose your relationships. You do the Dalai Lama quote, right? That in America we spend all of our health to make money, and then we spend all of our money to try to get our health back, and it's that net zero game.
It's exactly
Zero game.
all that effort and pressure and burnout and not loving life and not enjoying. It's a net zero game. Exactly.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if someone's rich and how to say rich and not happy, they're broken. That's not success to me. You have all this money, but either you can't really do anything with it. Maybe you have cool toys, but you don't have great relationships. You don't have the time to enjoy it. That's not success to me. I don't think we're here.
Absolutely. And I don't even use the word rich anymore to talk about money. You can have a lot of money, but if you're rich, you have rich relationships, you have rich experiences, you have rich health.
Correct.
Right? You have depth in your life, you have connection in your life, right?
Correct.
That's rich is much more than in having money, right? You can have a lot of money and be a disaster. Right?
Exactly correct.
You can have a lot of fitness and be a disaster. You can be one-dimensional in almost anything and still be a disaster as a human being.
You're right. Even people that are highly fit, a lot of them, their lives are disasters, or the relationships or whatever health, they could be fit, and maybe their health is a disaster because the way they work out to be fit. But to your point, exactly. It's
So then I'm really curious about this, and it's been sitting there a little while. We've been talking. I'm really curious about, you talked about the fourth transition. So we had the first three, and then the fourth one is about authenticity. And I think that's something I believe so strongly in. And I think it's so necessary in big business, to marital relationships, to parenting your children, like all the way around, right? To your relationship with yourself. Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious about that. So that, we're still talking about this one, overall transition, but there are 4 steps of it. And then this last one of being who you are by being your authentic self. And I'm curious, what does that mean to you?
Very cool. In fact, you've given me an idea for my next book, maybe the 4 steps to blank, right? Or the 4 breakthroughs.
Yeah, there you go.
Blank.
There you go.
I love it. That's very cool. So the last big breakthrough, or the most recent, because there'll be more, but the last one I've had, or the most recent, would be an authenticity breakthrough. And it really was, if I feel like saying something, I'll say it. I mean, I'm not a jerk. And so I don't really worry too much about. Now, every once in a while, someone's going to take something the wrong way, or may come out the wrong way, or they'll receive it, or whatever. But so it's not permission to be an ass, but it's just, if I get the intuition to do something, to say something, to help someone, right? And this happens to a lot of people. We get a sense or an intuition or desire to do something, say something, maybe to go help someone with something, but then think, will they think I'm weird for coming to help them, or will they think I'm odd if I go help them with this, or suggest this or that, or if I open the door, maybe they don't like people open the door for them, or are they going to think I think they're weak because they can't open the door? I love opening doors for people.
Right.
And every once in a while, you look at someone that says, I can open my own door. And I'm like, just because you're a person, I don't, man or woman or whatever, you're a person.
Doesn't matter. Yep.
Just be polite. And so it really giving up on all the fear and worry, and just letting all that crap go, all the fear and worry. And, well, what if they think this, or what if I do this, or what if I'm like, if I see, like, if I'm in a nice grassy area or park or woods, I'll grab some garbage and I'll throw it out. And I usually think, well, people think I'm dirty because I'm picking up garbage, or will they think I'm weird because I'm picking up garbage in the park or in the woods or along the cottage road? Right. And just who cares if they can think I'm weird as I want? But it's I love this definition. True leadership is taking responsibility of what you may not be seen to be responsible for. It's just, if you want it done, get it done. Whether it's your responsibility or not, whether it's picking up garbage or whether it's whatever, it's
running $100 billion company.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's really, it's do you want the result? Would you like? And so instead of complaining or crabbing about it or bitching about it, well, why don't we just fix it? And that, to me, is true leadership. Whether you're, an entry level position, whether you're an entrepreneur just starting it, whether you're a high roller, whether you're an exec or a wildly successful entrepreneur. That, I believe, is true leadership. So it's so that
authenticity that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I love this, the way you talk about it, because you say it's first being true enough to yourself to hear your inner voice, to hear your intuition, to hear your instinct, to hear God, whatever you want to call it, right? There's a lot of different definitions for it, but to hear that still quiet inner voice, that sense. I love that from Anatomy of Peace. They talk about the sense, that everything starts with the sense of doing the right thing for somebody.
Correct.
And
it's that
right.
sense.
So when you have that sense, then authenticity is first being able to have the sense, and second, having the courage to carry it out